there's already this wealth gap and it's getting spread further and further. We have to find more solutions to keep that wealth opportunity, and that everyone should deserve the right to financial freedom.
Hello and welcome to episode 164 of the Smart Agents Podcast. As always, my name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. In today's episode, we are joined by Franco Perez, founder of Franco Mobile Homes. Immigrating to the San Francisco Bay Area at age 11, Franco remembers having to help his mother pay rent every month without hope of home ownership. Fast forward to today, and he has made it his life mission to address the affordable housing crisis by providing innovative solutions through well-designed mobile homes. Throughout our conversation, Franco shares how he discovered the opportunity mobile homes can provide to individuals seeking affordable home ownership, debunks much of the stigma surrounding mobile home parks, and shares what makes the homes he and his team are building so unique. But before we get on to today's featured interview, the all-new Smart Agents magazine has launched and is full of insights and strategies designed to help real estate agents grow their businesses. Inside, you will find interviews and advice from leading real estate professionals, marketing tips to flood your business with leads, and even swipe and deploy files full of practical tools to enhance your business. Subscribe now to receive your copy of the printed magazine each month and instantly get access to our online agent community and members-only templates. Click the link in the episode description or go to smartagents.com/magazine. Also, if you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to like and subscribe. The Smart Agents podcast streams on all major podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, and of course, YouTube. And finally, if you or someone else on your team has an incredible story or real estate tips to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. We're always on the lookout for new stories to share. All right, let's get on to today's featured interview with Franco Perez. If you're interested in learning more or just want to check out the mobile homes he is creating, be sure to check out his website. I've added a link in the episode description. So really the way I like to start everything out is if you could just introduce yourself to us a little bit, who you are and where you're at.
Totally. I guess for me, the long story short, I kind of grew up in the Philippines, had immigrant parents that moved over to the Bay Area when I was about 11 years old. And from there, I was kind of put in this weird situation where my parents divorced. My dad was the main breadwinner. And immediately at about 17, 18 years old, I had to quit school and start working right away to support my younger sister and my single mom at the time. And it was then that I vividly remember specifically how difficult it was to just keep up with payments, to be in that rat race, to at the end of every month having to gather as much money as we had just to cover rent. And with that, it was so difficult. And I know that today that there are people out there that are going through that same struggle. And, basically, I dedicated my life to trying to figure this out. How do we help people that are in those shoes? A phase of my life, I got into real estate. I was a regular real estate agent, and I actually, in a weird way, in my gut, I just hated it. And what I realized is that our company was kind of training us to help the wealthiest people that we can help get the most expensive homes that they can, or get their third or fourth investment property. And I really hated the part where I had to tell people that were in my shoes back then and say, hey, unfortunately, you don't make enough money. Unfortunately, you don't have enough as a down payment. And, you can make more, you can save more, and then I can help you later down the line, right? And turning people away just hurt me so much. So I dedicated my time to try to find a way to make those that could barely afford housing, how can we make their lives just a little bit easier, right? And checked out affordable housing. I didn't find much connection there. And then I came across mobile homes by accident. I have what a lot of people feel with associations with mobile homes, where it's like, these are probably trailer trash filled with criminals or drug dealers and bad quality homes and bad quality people, because that's all the media shows us. But come to find out, I didn't realize there were so many parks out there. And being in the Bay Area, in our county, in the South Bay, there was over 60 mobile home parks that I've never knew anything about. And I actually took deep research into these communities. And there's families that are able to start their wealth building journey, and the financial profiles of these mobile homes are actually far from what we believe with general knowledge. So built a business around helping people get out of that rental rat race into mobile home ownerships, and then helping them leverage that to be able to use that as a stepping stone so that they can get into regular real estate. And then since then, now we're starting to convert a lot of old mobile homes or old trailers into large, luxurious 2,000 square foot, 12-foot high ceilings, 3-bed, 2-bath homes with quartz countertops and stainless steel appliances and all the smart tech that you can imagine. And that's kind of who I am and where we got to where we're at today. And our team does a great job of helping as many people as we can. And that's really our goal, is to help as many people as we can.
Right. So, I mean, the Bay Area, obviously, the real estate market and what you see portrayed in the media. I mean, it is very, difficult to get into a home there. If you are able to get into a home there, you better be some, tech wizard that has, this crazy job and everything. But people forget that in cities all across America that are just like the Bay Area, they're still the teachers and, the all of the city services people, just, kind of like the heart of the city. They can't afford to live in the places that, they call, that they're working in, or they used to call home anymore. Is that something that you really kind of keyed in on and, trying to help that, those people?
Yeah, absolutely. And the Silicon Valley is kind of one of these very unique places, but I honestly see it as our way of kind of telling the future of how all of these metro markets are going to look too, right? Yes, the numbers are way higher than most of the country, but the nature and the ratios of how housing is happening is kind of a future prediction of how it's going to happen in many metro cities, right? So just like you said, it's hard for working class citizens to own homes here because prices are average 1.5 million, or rent is about 3,500 a month. However, those numbers could be a half in Houston, but the ratios are about the same. They're still having the same nature of housing affordability. The average income is different, and it's hard for a regular working class citizen to use real estate to get out of that rat race, right? And it's a blessing that that I'm in this area, because I can see the problem at its worst. And now we're trying to really fix this problem that we're having now. The truth of it is, it's only going to get worse. I mean, we don't see any signs of it getting better. Construction costs are getting higher. Real estate's getting more expensive. Materials getting more expensive. Skilled labor to build housing is getting more expensive. And with real estate going up at the rate that it is, and average incomes not going at the same rate, there's already this wealth gap, and it's getting spread further and further, right? And we have to find more solutions to keep that wealth opportunity, and that everyone should deserve the right to financial freedom. And I kind of say this, but financial freedom is really the new freedom that everyone should have access to, because it is kind of an unfair world already. And we have to protect and create a stepping stone, or create that bridge in between. And that's why we're passionate about what we're doing, because we know it helps create that opportunity or create that step for people.
Right. So you kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier about, finally kind of seeing the mobile homes and mobile home parks for what they could be, and not exactly what they are portrayed as. What was it that, how did that light bulb switch for you?
Yeah. So I think one is the stigmas that I had around it. And then the other was realizing that, hey, all of these false thoughts that we have were really, how do I say this? Were really untrue. That mobile homes depreciate, you can't build equity, you can't use loans, and it's really not a great or smart financial decision, right? And the other is understanding that the barrier of entry of real estate is very difficult. What is better than the other, right? So is renting a home in our area, $3,500 a month, better than owning a mobile home that's about the same payment? Who's going to be better off with the same situation 5 years down the line? And it's really understanding that. And there's a lot that I didn't know being middle class, being working class, that you aren't taught in school. Mm-hmm. There's not just a wealth gap, but there's also an information gap, right? We aren't taught that we should use assets. We should use loans to build our net worth. We aren't taught that our net worth is more important than actually having income coming in many times, right? So how do we use that information to help educate the working class, to help them leverage this information that I wish I knew to get them ahead, right? So I kind of want to paint the picture of the housing in our area. So $3,500 a month will get you a 2-bedroom apartment for renting. And then average single family home in our area is about $1.5 million, right? And these numbers are high. Yes, but understand that the ratios could be different. I mean, the ratios are the same, but the numbers could be drastically different in your area. Now that being said, how does somebody that's renting at $3,500 a month ever dream of one day owning a piece of real estate? How do they ever accomplish that? It's very difficult. You'd have to come up, let's say it was 10% down, $150,000, and then a monthly payment of close to $8,000 with tax and insurance, right? It's a very hard thing to accomplish. The barrier of entry is difficult, and it's such a heavy payment. Now, if we look at mobile homes as an example, in our area, an average mobile home could be about $350,000. 10% of that would be about $35,000. Their monthly space rent for the park would be about $1,000, and then their mortgage would be about $2,800. So in all, their total monthly payment would be about $3,800, or let's call it $4,000. But with that, they get a lot of the benefits of home ownership. We know that with home ownership, you get tax benefits, you get to build your equity, you get to leverage a loan to build up your net worth, and you get the upside of appreciation, right? Mm-hmm. So all of those benefits you are getting by just switching your payment from regular rent, where in the end you'll end up with nothing, to an asset like a mobile home, and 5 years later you have an asset that you can sell and then potentially buy real estate later down the line, right? So it's important. This is something that I wish I understood better back when I was younger, and and having this tool and helping build this stepping stone is so important.
Right. And so I see, through your videos and your social media, you do a lot of, there's a lot of education that you do around this topic. What are some of the things that you are doing to go out there and educate your population, in your city and in your market on, these options for them, and that, mobile homes can be a fantastic option for them?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's just that you said it's with us. How do we educate the market? I think first it's like, it's still a growing thing that we're trying to do, right? And there's no universal answer, but what's worked for us is through video, through YouTube. I think identifying as a business owner that one of our biggest obstacles is these false stigmas around mobile homes. And the only way to break that is through visuals, right? And how are younger generations taking more information? It's through video, right? Hey, back then it might have been through literature, through writing and that sort of thing, but people have to see, even if it's just me or you talking in a video, it makes such a better difference versus a blog or an article, right? People can see actually what it is. But I think it's fighting those stigmas. We show what these communities actually look like. We show what these homes actually look like. We show how these homes are actually built with the high level of quality. And then we also, like you mentioned, the educational element, right? All of this could look aesthetically appealing and that sort of thing, but we also have to talk about the numbers. We have to talk about the use cases of, hey, this is a teacher that her monthly payment was this at her renting, at her rental apartment. And this is her now after she purchased a mobile home. And this is what her financials are going to look like. This is, in 5 years, what is the difference going to look like? She's going to end up with $90,000 more than if she were to have a full rental model, and helping people break down real life stories. That's a big level of, that's what helps people process and understand the value and the importance of this, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they can see themselves in your clients and these case studies that you're sharing, is because, that could be a teacher that maybe works in the same school as they, or across the district from them. They have that same, those same pain points.
Exactly. And I know there's so many people out there that might just need that little piece of advice or that little boost, right? And information isn't always as accessible as we feel, or you have to know the right place to look, because sometimes we chase these shiny objects of like, hey, oh, one day I'm going to own a single family home, when we have these false assumptions. And I say this because, I had the same situation too, is that one day my income is going to be drastically better than it is in 2 years, and we have very high short-term expectations. But the truth of it is we have to take small steps to improve our personal family's cash flow to get us ahead, right? It's, how do I say this? If I didn't own a home, I could always think that one day I'm going to own a piece of real estate. But the truth is that with the values going at it as it is, it's a moving target, and it's hard to reach, right? But by having a stepping stone like eMobile Home that allows you to boost your current cash flow to something better for that period of time, that could make it or break it for your family's wealth, right?
Right. I want to switch gears a little bit to the actual, types of mobile homes that you are. Explain it to me. You build these mobile homes, correct? Are you involved in the actual manufacturing and everything of these now?
Yes.
Yeah. How did that get started?
Well, I mean, so we first started by just doing the transactional stuff, and then it came to realize like, hey, there's a ton of these parks that most mobile homes. It was a very popular thing in the 70s, right? So most mobile homes out there are actually built like 1974, 1976, whatnot. And this was before there were high density housing. They were actually built as temporary housing for farmers or for workers. And that's really what they were meant for. That being said, these homes are on lots that aren't really maximized for living square footage. When we go into these high density homes like the Bay Area, or high density markets like the Bay Area, you'll see single wide homes that are about 700-800 square feet that have a yard, right? And it's just like in real estate. Like, how do we value add our piece of real estate so that we can spend something to get a return on investment to maximize our asset? And we're doing that exact same model within a mobile home for somebody that owns a mobile home. They own an 800 square foot home. However, we go out there and we're like, hey, you could actually spend about $250,000 to replace your 800 square foot home and fit a 1900 square foot mobile home that's much nicer, has more square footage, has a better bedroom for your kids, has more bedrooms for your kids, and that sort of thing. And your new value of your home itself will be $350,000 or $400,000, right? So it becomes a win-win for all parties, for us as a business, and it also becomes a win for them. And it also becomes a win for the neighbors in the park itself too, because we're creating more affordable housing, more livable square footage for families to be able to own. And for the family itself, they get a huge return on investment, even if they don't sell their home, and a lifestyle improvement as well.
Right. So how did it, tell me about, the actual kind of going in and starting to design these mobile homes. And I mean, because they're incredible looking. I mean, they're amazing from, what
Oh,
I've
thanks,
seen
man.
from your videos and everything. I mean, they're beautiful. They're not what you imagine as a mobile home.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess, you know, the first step to this for us, it was a nightmare, right? The first two projects, I was, we didn't have any money. I was pitching to investors. They were all laughing at me. I would never invest in a mobile home. Are you crazy? Right. And I finally convinced someone to, hey, I don't expect anything out of this. You'll get 100% of the profits. Just let me build out this vision that I have just so I can prove myself, right? And once people actually seen the level of quality of what we built and the home that we built, our first home, it was kind of a risk, right? So we built out this home, and during that time, it was actually just at the start of COVID where housing was so expensive. We had about 18 offers, a lot of cash offers as well, and huge demand on this home, right? It was a 1,500 square foot home. It probably wasn't as pretty as the one that you saw, but that home having the attention that it had, and for people to actually visually see the quality, I knew that's what we needed is for someone to actually see pictures and video of what the quality of this home was, how it was built, and that sort of thing. Since then, that's really what took us off and allowed for us to scale, right? Those two first projects, we were completely negative on it. But then by having this use case, it allowed for us to get future investors and better our system and that sort of thing. And now we really try to push the limits. And like I said earlier, is we these stigmas around it, we really are now building homes much nicer than which an average single family home would be out there. And I'd even argue that a lot of new construction homes we build at higher quality as well. And if you're listening on a podcast, I urge you to kind of take a look at our 3D tours or our videos and really see for yourself how beautiful this type of housing can be in the communities and in the home itself. So we put all the smart tech, the smart thermostats, the cameras, Alexa, all of that. And then, the finishes are amazing as well. So we really try to push it to look like,
I'm having trouble understanding.
Oh, now I gotta. but that being said, we really try to make these homes look like multi-million-dollar homes in the end.
Yeah, I mean, and they absolutely, yeah, and they do. I mean, it's the ones that you've had in your videos, and I mean, they really do look like some one-off architectural home that you're not going to find anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and one of the cool things I think about, the videos that you do show is the actual process of these homes being built from the ground up. There's the one in particular video kind of going down you're showing the whole conveyor line of how these are being built. And I love that inside look at, my potential home being built.
Yeah, it's amazing. And we touched on this a little bit earlier, but I think it's important that people understand is that we have a huge problem. I don't know why it's not broadcasted as much as it should be, but we have a huge affordable housing problem. And we also have a huge construction problem in our future. Like we said, I touched on earlier, is that materials are getting very difficult to get. Also, the way we build homes are the same way that we've built homes for over 100 years, right? Everything that we own, I say this analogy where it's like, hey, cars were originally only built for the rich and wealthy. And it was only until we built it on an assembly line in a factory at a streamlined way that we got it to be accessible for everyone out there, for cars to be for everyone out there. And that's exactly what we're doing with housing, right? We're changing the way housing is done. We're building homes on an assembly line in a factory, utilizing as much, as little material as we can, as little waste as possible. And then also we have a skilled labor shortage. Most of our construction workers now are 45 and over, and they're retiring, and we don't have young skilled labor that want to get excited about working with a hammer. So we have to really maximize what we can out of that. And in the end, at the end of the assembly line, having a very high quality product at a streamlined fashion that's more affordable for a family that needs it to be affordable. And it's amazing to me that we haven't done this already. And there's no question about it that this is the future of how we're going to be building housing down the line.
Right. Well, and when you think about the next wave of homeowners and home buyers, these are, millennials. And so having, and maybe they're not quite, hit that income to be able to purchase, a single family home in your market, but you can get them off on the right foot on actual home ownership rather than throwing all that money away renting, if their first home purchase was a mobile home.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many different problems that it solves, right? So we talk about the affordability, and then we talked about the construction, and the process of how it's built. And there's so many value items that are being solved here. And that's what I love about it. And the better we, because in the end, we're able to pump out housing much faster than a regular stick built. I've built stick-built homes, on average, it took me about 13 to 18 months sometimes to deal with that. And then, our first mobile home took about 12 months, and now we beat the record. I love beating our record every time, but we're completed a full conversion from an old one to a new one in as little as 2 months and 3 weeks. And it's shocking how quickly we can do this. And, how if it's great for time, it's great for the cost, and it's great for helping more families, and also it's great for the economy, the jobs that are produced from this as well. I was just at a factory last week. You almost never see women on a job site, on a construction stick built site. It's not common. But in this factory, because it's in a factory in a much safer environment and that sort of thing, they're able to create much more job opportunity for women. You have women that are doing paint jobs, electrical jobs, and they don't have to do any heavy lifting because there's cranes and huge tools that are in these factories. And because everything's done in a streamlined fashion, they're able to work and have a job that might not need a lot of heavy lifting, but they're able to maximize their skills and be able to have a new job in a city that might not have these types of jobs. Right.
What's it been like, over the time that you've been doing this, impacting these folks' lives that, maybe the ones that you're giving the jobs in these factories, but then also these people that you are making first-time homeowners?
It gives me goosebumps every time. I honestly still tear up to this day when I see a family that felt like they could have never afforded a home, and when you see them jump for joy or have tears of joy, and it touches it connects with me so much because I've felt that. Because I felt that pain. I've went through hard depression with worrying about stresses of money, and knowing that, hey, this is a home start for somebody that their family is going to feel financially secure. I know that it's alleviated a lot of their stress, and they can feel comfortable and grow from middle class and be able to grow from there. And, I'm so proud of our team because they're just as caring. They know the impact they're creating. And we just, our goal is to help as many families like that as we can. Right. And how do I say this? We really build our business not around chasing that dollar, but helping as many middle-class families as we can. And that's really our vision. And it's never about the money. We always make the right decisions on how do we help more.
Right. Just before we wrap up, what's the future look like? I know, this is something that's going to be is evolving and growing. So what's kind of on your horizon?
Yeah. So I guess for us, our biggest kind of agenda now is really just showcasing the beauty of this and how this works and how it works great for many economies, and not just California cities, but places like Austin, like Atlanta. We speak a lot at DC to really show these senators how this is making a difference. And we want mobile homes to be seen as a beautiful thing and an accessible tool for middle-class families to be able to start their wealth building journey. And now we're trying to find partners in many different metro areas to do the same thing. And that's our plan for growth.
Right. So if somebody's listening to this and wants to reach out to you, how's the best way to get in contact with you?
Yeah, all of our links and contact and our 3D tours are on a website, www.franco.tv. You can also see our YouTube channel, see how they're built. You can see the 3D tours of our nicest homes. And you can find us there.
Right. And just, before wrapping up, I do want to ask you if you could kind of see the future that you created, as that 18-year-old kid that had to work to pay the rent, and to see what you're doing to help people that were in the same situation that you were.
Oh man, I would be proud of myself, I'd say, but I know that we're not at the scale that we want to yet. We want to help more people. It's interesting in the Philippines. There's this thing about helping those that of need, and it's a very popular thing in our culture. And that's always been in my heart, to want to help people that were in my shoes back then. And that feeling is something that's so important to me. And over anything else, I've prioritized it over so many other things in my life. And we're still going to keep continuing with that same energy and drive.
Awesome. I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today.
Appreciate you having me here, and it's a pleasure. So thanks.
I want to thank Franco for joining us today and really admire his mission to address the affordable housing crisis. The mobile homes he and his team are creating are truly incredible, and I highly encourage you check them out. I've added a link in the episode description to Franco's website. So once again, if you think you or someone else on your team has an incredible story or real estate tips to share with our community, send us a message to feedback@smartagents.com. Well, that wraps things up for this episode, but remember, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and we'll see you on the next episode.